know, the war on terror.
Yeah.
It cost 4.8 million Muslim lives, innocent.
Wow.
How many? 4.8 million.
Yeah.
More than ISIS, more than Hamas, more than Saddam Hussein, more than all of the people they said are monsters. If you add all of the victims, they killed 5 times, 10 times more people. And yet they are the civilized ones. They are the ones with humanity. They're the ones who respect the rule of law. They're the ones apparently who respect the rights of others. When the Quran says, do not take them as your allies, we were being criticized that Muslims don't want to be friends with, or they don't want to be cordial with non-Muslims. But the Quran was very clear that don't take these people as your allies, as your supporters, because they are allies to one another.
Yes.
And I think what we see throughout history, and certainly in the last 20, 30, 40 years, and even with the Israeli issue, with the Palestinians, is that this is actually profoundly clear that they are indeed collaborators of one another, and that they're not going to do things which are just or fair, but what is in their own interests. And so Israel is nothing but another colonial outpost that they've created as a military base to manage the Middle East, basically. And so they're happy for it to do whatever it wants to do, really. And if it wasn't for social media, and if it wasn't for the media showing the atrocities that they're doing, then they would keep doing them.
Well, one of the things that I was shocked by recently is that in America, for example, you're not allowed to, you can boycott, for example, American companies, but you are not allowed to boycott Israeli companies, which is shocking. And then the same as Israel, you cannot talk negatively about Israel, but you can talk negatively about America. And then you have this question in mind: who's actually who's the true leaders of the?
So that's why when in my last talk, it's quite evident who controls the American administration and the government there. And it's a foreign power. But it's the Israeli lobby. The Israeli lobby are the ones who are controlling America. And the Americans, they think they're free. And they're not free. They're fully controlled. They're gagged. They can't even say so.
But I think what happened in the last couple of months exposed all these fake slogans.
Absolutely.
Free countries and America's free and free country, and even here. And the Western,
Absolutely. Because most of the public are outraged with what they're seeing. If you look at any of the pro-Palestinian marches, they're not all Muslims and all Palestinians. There's a lot of middle class and working class and upper class, normal white people, right? On those marches as well, right? How many people do you see marching for supporting Israel?
And very few.
Hundreds.
Hundreds. And this is one of the things that shocked me: the gap between the reality, people like normal English people that they just listen to the news and understand what's going on in the world, and those people that they are not. And it's just. My workplace, the majority of the people, when they talk, they talk about, they talk about how sad they are about what's happening in Palestine and all this. But I'm just shocked between what actually happening with the government, like Sunak and his gangs, and what's happening in the real, the shop floor, the streets.
Because they will have their personal interests.
Of course.
And their own foreign policy.
Oil and things like that.
Absolutely. And their own personal interests and their foreign policy, it trumps morality, it trumps decency, it trumps humanity, it trumps all of these values that they claim that they have. And it's the same values that they criticize others for lacking. So when they say,
they accuse you.
They accuse you.
In Arabic, we say "لمتني بدائها وانسلت." You accuse someone with what you have.
The very
exactly.
Very bad qualities that you have.
You seek, you run away.
Absolutely. So they'll criticize Africa. They'll criticize Asia. They'll say, "Oh, human rights."
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying that there aren't some human rights issues in some of these countries.
There are. Yeah.
There are, of course. But on the one hand, they're killing millions.
Yeah.
Where are the human rights for the millions that you're killing and slaughtering?
Yes.
And you're talking about a few thousand people here or there who maybe are treated harshly because of certain things, right? And on the other hand, you're orchestrating the systematic butchering and killing of millions. You know, the war on terror?
Yeah.
It cost 4.8 million Muslim lives, innocent.
Wow.
How
Okay.
many? 4.8 million.
Yeah.
More than ISIS, more than Hamas, more than Saddam Hussein, more than all of the people they said are monsters. Even more.
Even
than
more,
the
because after
monster
generations
in
after that,
Syria, Assad. If you add all of the victims, they killed 5 times, 10 times more people. And yet they are the civilized ones. They are the ones with humanity. They're the ones who respect the rule of law. They're the ones apparently who respect the rights of others. They're the ones who respect the rights of freedom and freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And they're the ones instigating most of the quashing of all of those qualities around the world, including supporting regimes militarily, financially, and political cover that are oppressing and suppressing their own people. So it's a level of hypocrisy that it's a I call it window dressing. You know, when you go to a shop, they put the best clothes on the front. You know, when you go inside, things have got holes in them. Yeah, and the sizes are all
Or you don't
wrong.
have sizes, you don't have the right.
And it's all that junk basically. But on the outside, they show you how the window dressing is.
Yeah.
This is the standard. This is what we are all about. The reality is, when you go behind the scenes, you realize just how disgusting, how disgraceful the hypocrisy is when it comes to these things.
But it's very sad to see that not only the West is doing this, also Muslim countries are not supporting, even
many of them are influenced, obviously,
by the West,
by financial interests, strategic interests.
Yeah.
And as a consequence, one of the beautiful sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Anyone who stands for power should never get it, should never attain it.
Yeah. Very, very true.
And what that shows you is the people who crave for power are not the right people to be leading you. And this is why the Islamic system of governance, where the people choose an amir and they choose amongst themselves. And Shura.
System,
This is why this system is just and it's fair and is actually the solution to all of our problems today.
SubhanAllah. But the problem is, Muhammad, if you think about all the countries, Western and non-Western, you got only Ireland, How many countries that you stand by the Palestinians? If you think about it.
There are actually.
How many? No, South Africa, Ireland, and they had both of them had traumas in the past.
Yes.
Even though South Africa very corrupt.
South America.
South America. I don't know. SubhanAllah, there's no. You feel that out of those hundreds of countries in the world, just very few. It's very clear, black and white. Black and white situation. With everything in the past, our grandmoms and grandfathers used to talk about what happened in the Nakba in 1948, and we always imagine what actually happened and how bad was it. But now it's black and white. It's everything in YouTube.
100%, absolutely.
SubhanAllah, and then yet those majority of the people, or not. I mean, the government will deny and will lie, and SubhanAllah.
Absolutely. And the thing is, look at the situation that we're in. We have a group of basically a small handful of countries: England, America, France, Russia, and China.
They control the narrative.
They basically, just one of them can quash any decision that the entire world makes.
Yeah, this is what Erdogan keeps saying.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell me something. All this freedom of speech, freedom of expression, equal rights, where is all this? It's a lot of baloney.
No, today.
So basically the whole world can say this is unjust, and if just one country like America or Britain or China, Russia or France says, no, it's just.
Even the people.
The matter is quashed.
Even the people in these countries do not agree with the government.
Right. So there is
one person or two people.
So they've basically forced the system onto the world.
When did this created? The history of this?
Straight after the Second World War.
Okay.
So the whole point.
It's new.
The whole point of creating the United Nations was to prevent what had happened in the Second World War, to prevent genocide, to prevent ethnic cleansing, to prevent a country.
I can't see this happening.
Well, clearly, it hasn't worked, right? But the reason why it hasn't worked is they've been selective as to who they've applied those laws to. So when it's the brown man, the laws are all applied. When it's the white man, they make excuses that it's a war, that it's self-defense, that it's actually to combat terrorism. They label it differently, but the actions are just as heinous, if not more heinous, than any of the criminals that they're pointing to.
But it's not going to work because in the past, like the past 3 decades, we didn't have the internet.
Right.
So things are
okay.
So because of that public opinion, especially Generation Z, they say, Generation Z.
What is that? Tell me about that. I've never heard of it.
So basically, these are people who are born in like the post 80s, 90s. You know, they're in the early 20s. They're in late teens, early 20s, coming up to 30 or whatever. And that generation are already very disenfranchised with governments. They've seen the corruption. They've seen the double talk. And social media, they're a generation who've grown up in social media. So they've also...
They know that, they see it from the people...
And they've accessed alternate news. So it's the narrative...
people on the site, on Gaza...
So the narrative is not just now controlled by media billionaires, tycoons, but you or I could put a video up and we can get more views... We can get more views than some of these big channels can. So it's actually changed the narrative. And as a consequence, a lot of people have woken up. So before, the Israelis could hide their crimes. Now everyone's got a camera on their phone. So even when they cut off the internet, they store it on their phone. When they get internet, they upload it. So the people are getting the message. So now they can't conceal the genocide. They can't conceal the ethnic cleansing. And so now even some of their staunch supporters are saying, look, this is a bit too much now. You're openly speaking and your actions are openly genocidal.
I see. Talking about the future, are you optimistic?
Well, we're told within Islam the narrative of what's going to happen.
Yeah, of course.
We know that this land is going to be taken.
Very good point.
And this is another strength of Islam. Because Allah has prophesied that this land is going to be taken from you and the Jews are going to take the land. The Israelis are going to take this land.
But sometimes as a human being you feel sad.
Of course.
And you feel
that doesn't mean to say that we're complacent. But what it does mean is that we do our best, but we know that the outcome is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.